What up guys, it's K13 and welcome back to my channel. I have Bunny with me today just cause, why not? I really hope the AC is not going to be a problem while I film. It's really annoying. So it's almost midnight right now as I'm filming this. But I thought I'd go ahead and make this video because I've been putting this off for a while. I need to get back into the rhythm of making videos and to stop putting stuff off, so here we are. So this video is a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time now. It's just a video where I tell you guys about my summer and about my internship. Because a lot happened during this summer, a lot of awesome things, and just I thought it'd be really fun to share with you guys. You guys already know, like, I made a vlog over the summer and I uploaded it a few weeks ago. It's very late I uploaded it very late, but you know, it's okay. It's still fun. It was really fun making it. It's fun to watch. So if you haven't seen it and you want to go watch it, I'll put the link in the description for that video. But yeah, this is more just like an in-depth kind of video where I tell you guys about everything that I did and a lot of, like, yeah, just everything that I did and what I learned, a lot of cool stuff. So what I did this summer was I interned for Crossroadsmissions. So the reason that I did this internship was because for my journalism major that I'm majoring here at Johnson, one of the things that's required for me to do is to take an internship. And my advisor told me, like, obviously, like, the options were to do it over the summer, during the school year, or after graduation. And, you know, this summer was my easiest option, like, my best option. Doing it during school year would be really hard, and they said sometimes it's hard to get internships after you graduate. So I was lucky enough to get this internship this summer, because I did apply kind of late. So why Crossroads? My first year at Johnson, I took a class, and I always forget what it was called. But it was a class where we learn about, like, mission work and just, oh, what's the name of the class? I don't remember, but it was a freshman level class, and since it was for, like, freshmen, and one of the other things you have to do here at Johnson is you have to do volunteer service. Like, you have to have volunteer hours to graduate. And so in this class, our professor had a bunch of people that would come in for every class, like organizations, nonprofits, maybe some churches, and they would tell about themselves and what they do. And so they were basically people that you could either volunteer with for your hours, or they could be potential internships. Like right now I volunteer for Knoxville Leadership Foundation. That's who I've been volunteering with for a couple years now. I do mentoring. I mentor kids. So that's how I figured them out. So during that class, one of the people that came was somebody representing for Crossroads. And I don't even remember the person talking about Crossroads. I just remember them saying that they were located in Louisville, Kentucky. And at that moment I was like, okay, I'm going to remember them, because I knew I was going to need an internship in the future, and I thought I'll do it in Louisville because I like doing things at home. I like being at home. It'll be easy. I won't have to travel. I won't have to go anywhere. It'll just be easy, and easy was what I was going for. That was a couple years ago, so fast forward to this year, my advisor's telling me I need to do an internship. And I was like, that's great, because I already have people in mind. And the reason, and actually, rewind again. So I never got to talk to the person that came from Crossroads to talk here at Johnson, but later that day they had, like, a booth outside of our cafeteria. There was nobody there, but I went and checked it out anyway, and they had, like, a pamphlet and stickers and everything, like, you know, cool stuff to promote themselves. and I picked up the pamphlet, and what Crossroads used to have was a little program called Storytellers, and that was initially what got me really interested in working with them, was their Storytellers program. And their Storytellers was like their media and everything. And in the pamphlet it said like, oh, they might have somebody do photography and video, and like they had social media. Like that was the specific little parts that interested me. So, okay, fast forward again. So, I knew going into this internship that their Storytellers is what I wanted to do. And I got interviewed, and then I got hired. What I didn't realize for like most of the summer was that basically right after they hired me, they ended Storytellers, because the main person that was in charge of Storytellers and did their social media, like he left, I think last year or whatever. Cause, you know, COVID-19 last year kind of like, you know, jumbled them up, and after the pandemic and everything, Crossroads has been coming, like they've been trying to reinvent themselves, and so they've just been going through, like this whole entire summer it was rough on the other intern and I, because we were just two interns jumping onto this ship with this nonprofit organization that was going through this transformational stage, through this transitioning stage, and they just trying to reinvent themselves and doing so much. So it was a little frustrating sometimes, but so they hired me as their social media person, but like it was not quite how I expected it to be. So about Crossroads, a little more about them. So Crossroadsmissions, like I said, a non-profit organization. So they're a Christian organization. So they have their Louisville location, that's where their home office is in Louisville, Kentucky. And they do Serve Louisville, which is one of their programs there. It's called Serve Louisville. And they also work in Appalachia, Kentucky, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Piedras Negras, New Mexico. And then they have Help Build Hope, which is where they basically travel around the country and they help build homes. So that's like a brief base about Crossroads. So when I applied and I did my interview with them, I told them that I wanted to do the Storytellers and I wanted to be in Louisville. But she told me that if I was going to be hired with them, that I probably would be doing more traveling. She initially told me that I would be between Appalachia and New Orleans. And when I learned about that, that freaked me out so much. And I just wanted to be at home for the summer. So I almost backed out. I almost did not do this internship. But then my mom like talked me into it. She helped me not to feel so scared and everything, so I decided to stay with it. And then eventually, so then they hired me, and after I got hired, they told me that I would be between Appalachia and Louisville. So that made me a little more excited that I could actually get to do some traveling and, you know, explore my adventurous side, but then I could still be at home with my family a lot more. So I think that worked out pretty well. So I got to experience a great chunk of what Crossroads does during this summer. So we got about a week of training, maybe less than that. So it was very different this year compared to their usual years with interns, because normally it's, you know, pre-COVID, and they usually have like 10 or more interns that they work with, and they do like a couple week, like a month of training almost. Maybe not quite that, but a couple weeks at least. And this time it was after COVID, and they didn't even expect to have any interns this summer, but they got me and Maddie, so they had 2 interns. So me and Maddie ended up being 2 interns, and we had to make up like a lot of jobs that 10 interns would be doing normally, but according to my supervisor, in some aspects we did less than a normal amount of work that an intern would do. I don't know. It was rough, but anyway, our first trip was in Appalachia, so we did a total of 4 trips in Appalachia. Well, I did. It was a little different for Maddie because she also did a couple weeks in New Orleans. So she and I weren't always together. But okay, so for me specifically, I did 4 trips in Appalachia. And specifically, we were in Maytown, Kentucky, which is a really, really, really small town. And it's in, I think Maytown, it was basically like renamed to Langley, or that's like the area it's in. It's all in Floyd County. It's in Floyd County, Eastern Kentucky, like those are all that's the general location words, okay? Maytown, Langley, Floyd County, Eastern Appalachia, Kentucky. That's where I was. So being in Appalachia was probably my favorite part of the summer. At first I didn't like it because our first week was very exhausting, because we did so much cleaning and cleaning up like a kitchen, and like I did way much more, and I did so much more physical work than I expected and less photography. But that was just the first week. After that I got to actually do the job I was hired to do. But yeah, it was rough the first time, but you can go watch. That's the week where I did, like, I vlogged that week. So in the vlog you hear me kind of talk a little bit, I think, about about how tired. I think there are parts where I talked about it, but then I cut it out of the video. But anyway, but yeah, Appalachia was great. So what happened was we went to Maytown, Kentucky, and then each week there would be 2 different volunteer groups that would come and work with us for a week. And you know, we just did like whatever projects we had, that's what we did. Some of it was construction, most of it was like cleaning up, because a lot of what we did was flood relief work, because back in March there was a flood in Maytown, like a really bad flood, like 5 foot of water, I think a little over 5 feet. So we did a lot of work to fix up just the buildings, people's like yards and stuff. So yeah, that's a lot of what we did. But we also do like devotions, and we work with the community, we play with the kids. 2 of the weeks we were there, we hosted camps, like day camps, which is a lot of fun. So that was like being in Appalachia. And then so when I wasn't in Appalachia, I was at home in Louisville. So there were a couple of weeks where I actually just got to work in the office. So I would go in at like 9 in the mornings, and I would stay and work until about 3 to 4 in the afternoon. And it was fun. I would either sit there and like edit videos for the videos that I had to make for the trips that we did, or I would just kind of do whatever work, like they were, basic intern kind of work that I was told to do. I did like if I needed to log some information, like using Excel. Accountant lady, she had a lot of papers that needed to be organized, so I would just organize like a bunch of receipts like by year. That was actually really fun. I stuffed a bunch of envelopes. That was also fun. There was a lot of work where I could just like kind of do it, get a routine, and I could like even be zoned out a little bit, and like I would just like put in my AirPods and listen to like my D&D podcast. So I had a good time doing that. And some other days I would just help them clean and organize, because like their garage area is a total mess. So I would help them with that, and I did some power washing. I cleaned a shower trailer by myself. That sounds really gross and tedious, but it wasn't that bad actually. But that's just me. Some people thought it was really, they were all like, ah, Kayla, she cleaned the shower trailer. I was like, it's okay, it was not that bad, but that's just me. So that's what it was like working at the home office. It was pretty chill. It was fun because I could go right home at the end of the day. And I didn't come home as weary as I do when I work at Walmart. So that was also a plus. So one of their other programs I said they have, Help Build Hope. Help Build Hope, what they do is they basically go around, so instead of like with the other locations where church groups or other like volunteer people like come to us and they help us do a project or whatever, so instead of that, it's kind of reversed with Help Build Help. So Help Build Help goes out and they drive around and they go and they help people. So like they might go to like Illinois, to a church in Illinois, and in this church parking lot they'll build frames for houses. I think that's the main thing that they do, is that they build frame, like house framing. I don't know construction, so bear with me, but that's the main thing that they do. They do some stuff in Louisville because I did get to go to a house that they were built, well, not in Louisville, it was in Shelbyville, but like near Louisville, but like so like they were building a whole house in Shelbyville. But yeah, the main thing that they do is that they go out and they help people build homes. And they actually got to do that here in Louisville one time. They did, and so they asked me to come that morning and take pictures, and I took pictures, and not only pictures, I took videos too, because that kind of became my go-to, was I would take both pictures and video. And that was a really cool day because I didn't even want to be there in the first place. They asked me last minute, and I went, and at the end of it, when I went to go ask my supervisor how he wanted the pictures and everything, and then I told him I did videos as well, he was like, oh, okay, and he walked me over to this lady who was with the news. If you're from Louisville and you're familiar with like the local news channels, there was this lady who's like the photographer for WDRB. She was like really late getting there. We were pretty much all done with like the whole event when she got there, so they told me I could give her some of my footage and that they might use it in the news. Well, I didn't give them to her directly, she gave me the email to email it to, but like basically I turned in to WDRB some footage that I filmed, and they did use it. They used some of my footage in their little news bit that I did of Crossroads and the Fern Creek Firehouse. So that was really neat. So just for fun, I'm going to put that video in the description. So yeah, link in the description to that news bit. And if you watch it, every time it says at the top of the screen, courtesy of Crossroadsmissions, that's my footage that I filmed. So it's pretty neat. Like, that was one of the most exciting things I think that happened this summer, was the news using my stuff. And then the last thing that I was a part of was the Serve Louisville team. So the Serve Louisville was way more chill than Appalachia. It was really easy. Excuse me, it was really easy. So I got to help out with 2 trips for Serve Louisville. So what that looked like was a group. We didn't have 2, like in Appalachia there's usually 2 groups, but with Serve Louisville there was 1 group for both weeks that they came down, and we all stayed in a church that was right next to like Crossroads office. It's like Crossroads office, down the road, church. So we all slept in the church, and that's where we would sleep and like eat and do worship and devotion. And then during the day we would go out and serve. So both times we went out and we served in some of the places that Crossroads helps out with out in Shelbyville, and then some places in Louisville. So that was really fun. But personally, I enjoyed being in Appalachia better, which surprised me because initially that wasn't the first thing I wanted to do. Appalachia was that was like my third choice. One of the cool things about doing this internship was that I could tell during the summer I could tell that I was growing in a lot of different, places with myself. And even though I didn't have a mentor or anyone to shadow, and I didn't learn a lot of new things photography and videography wise, because that wasn't Crossroads' main thing, because they're a mission organization, not media people. But I still got a lot of practice in. I did a lot of media stuff myself. I got a lot of practice in using Premiere Pro. I got a lot of practice, taking really good photos and video of people working, and I got a lot of practice of getting in people's faces, because I think that's one of my struggles, is getting in, in people's way and in their faces, because for me, I'm just oh my gosh, they probably don't want me in their way. I just always feel like I'm in the way, and it's awkward. But I kind of had to get over that. I had to learn to get in their face, get a good picture, because at first all the pictures I would get were of people's backs, and eventually my supervisor was I don't want pictures of these people's backs, I need good front photos. So that was definitely something that I grew in. So that is something that I am excited about for me. So the second way that I grew was spiritually. So I really felt myself in places kind of getting a little closer to God. And I know it's weird because I never talk about anything like this on my YouTube channel. But I mean, for a while now, I've been wanting to become more open about my life and being more vulnerable. So I mean, this is one of the best ways to do that. So when I came into this internship, I really thought that I was going to be doing a lot of things more focused on the media. I really didn't realize that I was actually going to be going on mission trips, which is basically what I did. The whole thing was just mission trips. And it was really scary. It wasn't scary, but it was really exciting once I realized what I was doing. I didn't even realize what I was doing was a mission trip until after I was already doing it, and it was really cool once I realized, oh my gosh, I'm on a mission trip, because I've never gone on a mission trip in my life. And it wasn't a big mission trip where you go out to another country. I've never left America before. I've never been out of the country. But still, it doesn't have to be a mission trip to it doesn't have to be out of the country for it to count as a mission trip. So this was my first time going out and staying at a place that I'm not familiar with, and serving God and serving other people. So I was really excited once I realized that's what I was doing, and I realized it wasn't so bad going on a mission trip. I feel now, after the summer, I feel now, if the opportunity ever arises to go on a mission trip, even possibly out of the country, I might be more open to it. I might be less scared. Just because growing up, mission trips, the idea of going on them always gave me so much anxiety. But I always felt so much guilt not going, because I just always felt this pressure you're a Christian, you have to go on a mission trip, you have to go do that. But I mean, mission trips are not for everybody. Spreading the word of God in that way is not for everybody. But after the summer, I realized it might not be exactly my calling, something I need to do as a career or something like that. It's missions doesn't necessarily have to be my focus in life, But I know now that, like, I can do it, and, like, I'm able to go on missions. I'm able to lead and love and serve on with people, love on people and serve people. And, like, I've done stuff similar to that before, but just not to this extent. Like, I got to love with kids, I got to play with kids, I got to interact with people, I met people from all over the country, I led devotions, I prayed in front of people, you know, we worshiped, so yeah, it was really cool. And so yeah, basically the biggest thing that I did that helped me to grow spiritually was that I led a devotion. And that was super scary because these are the type of things that I've avoided doing my entire life, was leading. Like, I'm not the type of person that speaks up in small groups, like in class at school, in class at church, like Bible classes, youth group. I never speak up. I stay quiet. A lot of the times it's a mixture of my ADHD where I don't pay attention, and so I can't speak up if, like, I can't talk about, you know, the topic because I don't know what we're talking about because I wasn't focused. Or sometimes even if I was paying attention and I do know what we're talking about, I either don't have anything to say to contribute to the conversation, or I was just too scared. So, like, for me, just because of all those multiple reasons, doing something like what I did this summer has been so foreign to me, so it's also just crazy. But so what we did this summer was we led this devotion called 17 seconds. So the, you know, the focus is on the Lord's Prayer. Basically it takes 17 seconds to say the Lord's Prayer. And based off experience from this summer, it might take a little longer if you were like our group, where some people said it one way, some people said it the other way, and we would all kind of mumble halfway through. Because there's like the older traditional version of saying it, and then there's like a more modern way to say it. It was really funny when my supervisor would try to say it the old way, and the rest of us kind of like mix it up with the new way, and we would all just be all like, and because we did it. It was really funny. It was one of those, you had to be there. It's a 5-day devotion because, you know, when we're there during, like, you know, we're there for a week, but like the groups that come with us, like on our, like when we're in Maytown, because these were for our Appalachia trips, we're there for a week, but like Crossroads people were there longer, but like the groups are there like 5 days, so we have 5 days to do devotion. And so my supervisor told me and the other intern to pick which days we wanted to lead, and I chose the first day. So the first day, I'm not about to like go through this entire devotion with you guys, don't worry. Excuse you, who's making noises out there? It's too late to be outside. So there was a lot of cool stuff, and the first day really resonated with me because it talks about like the main thing you learn is, and I'm like looking over to this again because it's been like a couple months since I've actually looked at this. So the main part that it talks about in day 1 is it talks about prayer and what prayer should look like. How do we pray? What do we pray? Do we pray by ourselves? Do we pray with other people? Who should we pray with? And then it talks about having intimate relationships with God and having immediate access to God, which I thought was really interesting when I read it in this. And then and it talks about the phrase our Father and our Father in heaven, and then it goes into people and their relationships with God. So when I led my devotion, And I didn't even like teach so much because my supervisor told me like she didn't want me to like really teach or preach. Really, she just wanted me to like tell my story, share my experience, and be really vulnerable. So that's what I did. I basically got on stage and I just told them how I pray. I told them my weakness and my strength with prayer. And then I told them that how one of the ways that I have immediate access to God is that I imagine the words child of God above every person's like head. Like, it's not something I do 24/7. It's just one of those random things that like I might think of it really randomly, so that's what I do. And it's something that I try to remind myself to do more often. That way I can be more humble and loving towards other people. So like I taught about that, and then I also told them about my personal relationship with God, like how it's a little hard for me to see God as a father, because usually the way you see God as a father, it's usually reflected on how you and your father are in real life. And since my dad and I don't have a relationship, it makes it hard to have a relationship with God and as a father. So like I talked about some of that stuff, and that was some of the first times that, you know, I was like really vulnerable to like groups of people, to strangers, not like my friends, and it was really cool. And you know, I told my experience 4 different times because we did 4 different trips, and I talked in front of a total of 7 different groups. And each week that I talked, there was at least one person that would come up to me and tell them how much I touched them, or they would tell me about something that like connected with them. And that was the coolest thing, because I've grown up being in the church, being the one listening to other people, and I was always the one that connected with what someone said, or I would be next to the person that was all like, oh my gosh, like I really resonate with what you said, or what you said touched me. So like it was really cool being on the other side of that, being the one that like touched other people, like, multiple people too. Like I had an older gentleman tell me how he used to be a police officer, and like when he was kind of like in training and everything, that like they kind of teach you it's like us versus them, and he kind of became like this really judgy person. And so and that's something that he had himself had been struggling with for the past couple of years, was trying to like really like not judge people. And so like me telling him that like what I do is I just picture the words child of God over everybody, that really like reminded him that like that's something he needs to try to do. So like stuff like that, that was really cool. One of the really cool things is that you guys probably don't remember this, but last semester when I was in school, towards the end of March, I filmed a video. It was just a regular reaction video. I don't remember which video it is, but at the end of it, I tell you guys that I want to share my faith, and I ask you guys to like ask me questions. I tell you all if you have questions, put them in the comments. Nobody did that. Nobody like did anything, which is okay. I think one person asked me one question, but like that was all I got, and I was like, I can't make a whole video off of one question. Anyway, and so eventually after that, I wrote in my journal, because I have a journal to God. I wrote my journal to God that I want to get closer to Him, and I wrote my journal to God that I wanted to get closer to Him. And after that, I said I probably need to spend more time in nature or helping other people. So like that's what I wrote down in my journal. So during the summer, one of the nights before I do my devotion, I'm like looking in, and like we have like this journal that we were given. It's a Crossroads journal, so this is what I use to like write my material and stuff in. And so I was looking it over the night before, trying to remember like what I was gonna say. So like after I did that, I was also doing my own personal devotion, so I was looking in my journal to God, and I saw in my journal to God the entry that I did before where I was like, I need to be more with nature and helping people. And I was like, mind blown, because I was like, this is really cool that God put me here in Appalachia on this internship where I didn't really expect to be when I applied for the internship, because being in Appalachia, where I was in eastern Kentucky, like, it's rural, you're in the mountains, so like kind of like how I'm in the mountains here in Knoxville right now, but like eastern Kentucky, it's like Appalachia, it's like it's all different. So I was out in nature and I was serving people in Maytown, and I was feeling myself getting closer to God, telling people about God and my experience and everything. Like, it just blew me away that I saw the last time I wrote in that journal, like, that was what I wanted, and here I was about to write it again, and that was exactly where I wanted to be. Like, that was really amazing to me. So yeah, that's one of the cool things that I saw God, do for me this summer. So the last thing that I grew in was growing, like, social skills, I guess you could say. Basically, I just interacted with a lot of people more. Like, I interact with people a lot, on a daily basis, being at church or working at Walmart or being at school. But, like, it just felt different during this summer. Like, I worked with a lot of older gentlemen, and just for me growing up, especially after a lot of trauma that I've endured in my life, I don't trust grown men. I don't trust men, but mainly grown men. And so when I first came into our internship and saw that I was going to be with a lot of older men, I was actually super nervous at first, but like, the people at Crossroads are amazing. They're all super nice. They very much care for you. Like for the interns, like, I don't know, I just felt super cared for during this internship, and it was really cool. But it was cool because we would go, for every time Crossroads was hosting an event, with the groups, we would go out for Maytown. We would go out and hand out flyers to the community. So like, we would go door to door and we would hand the flyers, we would talk to the people, and it was really cool when you could like spark conversation. And it wasn't hard to do. Like, a lot of the people there, like, they're usually really, like, some people are quiet because if you're an outsider, they don't really trust you. But like, some of the people, like, they're like, Crossroads has a history there, so if they know that you're with Crossroads, they get more excited. So it was really cool when some of them would get excited and they would just talk to us. Because there were a couple of times where I would just, like, there was one guy, we were at his porch and we were about to leave, and I told him, oh, I like your flowers. Like, he had some really pretty flowers in his yard. And he basically talked to me for like 30 or 40 minutes after that. Like, it just sparked a whole conversation, and it was really cool for me because he was an older man, but he was so sweet and he was just so excited, and it was cool. And like, it was cool learning about him and just the history of Maytown, because he was talking about what Maytown used to be like, and I learned that the house he was living in was the house he had lived in his entire life. Like, it was cool. So yeah, I feel like I got to grow just, a little bit socially, like, because a lot of the times I can be a really reserved person, but I had to work with kids, teenagers, adults of all ages, so it was a really cool experience for me. One of the other really exciting things about working with Crossroads was I made a lot of great relationships. And Maddie and I vibed really well. I think we we became really pretty good friends. Since we were the only two interns, we kept telling each other how we were happy that we got along, because if we were the only interns and we didn't get along, it would have been hella awkward. And I also, again, like I said, I made some great relationships with the older gentlemen, and you know, they're women too, like my supervisor CJ, and then we also worked with Boomer, who volunteered. He doesn't work with Crossroads, but he just volunteered his time. He was one of the coolest guys you could ever work with. And then the other supervisor was Jim and his girlfriend Connie. Like, they were like just the most fun people to be around, and I had so much fun, and I love them all to death, and I thought we were a really great team. We definitely weren't perfect, and like there was a lot of miscommunication a lot during the summer, but you know, we did a lot of traveling, and like it was a lot of work, so I think a lot of times we just got tired. My heart definitely, I definitely feel like I have a big place in my heart now for Eastern Kentucky, specifically Maytown, and I really hope I get to go back soon. I told CJ, my supervisor, that I would love to volunteer my time there again for like any future trips they have where I'm not busy, like with school or anything, that I would love to go back and work with them, and I'll just be a volunteer, because it was so much fun, and the kids there, they were just, there's not a lot to do in Maytown. Like, it's literally a small town. Like, all the kids do, like, they ride bikes. Some of them, like, a lot of the boys had four-wheelers or like those motorbikes, and that's all they do basically. They don't have much to do, and I think when we all came in and we play with them, we give them love and attention, it was great. One of the last things, so the last thing that I basically took away from this internship was one of the other things that we did in Appalachia, and I'm talking, and like, again, there's so much more that we did this summer, but Appalachia was like the main thing, and that was like the biggest impact that I had there, or the biggest impact on me was from there. But one of the things that we would do in Appalachia at the end of the day after work, with our group and then with the groups that volunteered, before we would worship songs and sing songs that night, we would reflect on the day and just like all the events and everything. CJ would ask, where did we see God today? And I think that was a really cool thing, like a cool practice that we did every night, because it really was fun seeing everybody like reflect on the day, and it just kind of reminds us that like what we were doing, like all the good that we were doing, it's a good way to it's just a good reminder that it's necessary to stop every once in a while and really like reflect and be like, where do you see God? Because someone would answer like they saw God and so over there when they helped this person. So and so over here saw God in the mountains, in the beauty of whatever the day looked like that day. I don't know. But like, I thought that was like a really cool thing that we did, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to incorporate in my everyday life, is where at the end of the day I'll like write down, where did I see God? So like I decided that's where I'm going to use my Crossroads journal, because another fun fact, if you intern at Crossroads, you get a bunch of cool swag, because we got this journal, we got backpacks, we got laundry bags with our names on them, you get a water bottle with your name on it. So yeah, you get cool stuff. You get a lot of free shirts and hoodies and stuff, so that was also really cool. But yeah, like this journal during the week is what I this journal during the summer when it was given to me. I used like anything that was necessary towards like my internship or like stuff for school. I used it. But it's still mostly empty, so I decided that I'll use this to write in every night, like, where did I see God? So, yeah. So, yeah, that's basically everything that I have to share about my internship. Anything else you want to know about my experience, you can, like, if you just want to see what it was like, you can go watch my vlog. Like I said before, it's in the description below. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I have been meaning to film and upload this for like a month now. And I almost didn't do it since it's been a while since after the summer, but I thought, hey, you wanted to talk about this stuff, so go ahead and talk about it. Like, don't put it off. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed hearing about Crossroads. If you're interested in it, go check out their website. I'll put the link to their website in the description below as well. Or if you have any questions, just ask me. Alright, you guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for supporting me. Also, go follow me on social media. Yeah, I will also put those in the description. Everything's in the description. Just go check it out. I hope you all have a good day. Bye.